Hi, my name is Peter Gudzinski and I work for a company called MaxScheduler. We're continuing with our web series for manufacturers and printers about software challenges they face in their businesses. We want to share our experiences. MaxScheduler is a scheduling software business. We've been doing it for about 15 years. We've helped companies schedule around 300 million tasks. Myself, I'm a scheduling expert and product manager. My LinkedIn profile is there. Today's chapter is about the challenges of installing enterprise software. So to create a bit of context, say you're a company, you've chosen, an MRP, ERP, or WMS, and you decided to implement it. One of the things you'll be faced with is that it'll take 6 months to 2 years to implement the software. And this may come across as surprising to most people. If you contrast this to installing an application on your desktop computer, you download it, install it, start using it, it shouldn't take too long. And I want to kind of peel the onion here and kind of walk you through the steps as to why it can take a long time to implement an enterprise software product. I have a practical experience with this. I migrated a small manufacturer from an older MRP system to a next generation. The older MRP system was from the late 80s. The newer one was the early 2000s. It took us about 4 months to partially set up the system, and we didn't implement accounting. What I want to do is walk you through the implementation steps. The first step you should go through is you need to figure out, you kind of need to choose a project team. And there'll be two main types of parties you'll be considering. One will be an in-house person, someone who currently works on your staff. This is a good candidate because they currently understand your system or understand your business, how you work on a day-to-day basis, and perhaps even familiarity with any current software products you have. The gap that they have is they do not know this new system. They may be computer savvy, but they don't know. The other major option is when you buy the ERP system, they will offer consulting services. So an expert consultant who really understands that software will be available for a cost, of course. They can be pretty expensive. But the good thing you get with them, though, is that they really know the software. The thing, though, in implementing this product, what needs to end up happening at the end of the day is the person who or the people who will implement this system have to have a holistic understanding of both sides. They need to understand the software that's going to be implemented and the business itself and how the two will match up together. And the point I'm trying to make here is that if you incorporate, both sides, learning is going to happen. That in-house person is going to need to learn the software system you're implementing, and that software consultant, to some degree, needs to spend time learning your business. And the next step I would say is, so say you choose a product team or a project team. The next part that should be done is, to some level, understanding and documenting main business processes within the current business. Just itemize these things. You can't just kind of assume that this will be easy to understand. You want to clarify this, get it on paper so there isn't misunderstandings. There's a good chance people do the same thing 10 different ways, and you should at least document it or figure out what the main way should be. The next part is, once you understand kind of some main processes within the business itself, there should be a plan or some talk of mapping those current business processes into the enterprise software you're going to implement. And again, this is about communication. You want to do planning up front because you don't want to just start shoving information and trying to use this software and then finding out 4 months down the road that there was a big gotcha. So one of those steps is process mapping between current business process and how it's going to work within the software. So say you get to that point, you figure out a relatively logical way that the software will be used on a day-to-day basis. So the next part might be what I would call data migration and cleaning. You may have an older system, or probably at minimum you have an accounting system, and you will want to migrate some of that information. This is a great opportunity to also, not only you're going to move the data from the old system, but you're probably going to take that opportunity to clean things. For example, your customer list. There's a good chance that half of those customers you don't talk to anymore. And there's probably little value in transferring them to a new system. There's a whole bunch of opportunities to clean up the information, make sure you start nice and fresh. Once you've, so you'll have that data. Next step is kind of these ERP systems. There's kind of two types of data, I would say. One I would call kind of metadata or configuration data. And you'll need to set that up. For example, details about machines within your facility, details about your people, your employees, um, setting up customer information. Let's say kind of more meta things that are needed by the software to run. For example, if you have an inventory system, there might be a location system, and you want to map your physical location system to the software itself, how it manages inventory. And then once you kind of put in that metadata, the next thing would be kind of a bit more transactional data. For example, the history of accounts receivable, history of accounts payable, history of jobs perhaps, or at least a current set of jobs. So you get, so I would say at this point we have a system that has the metadata in it. It has some transactional data. Next thing I would say is training. You can't, this system isn't being used yet. That's kind of one of the final steps. You need to get people to start getting familiar with this new system. That'll involve training, playing around with it, trying to put in some data into the system, just getting a feel for what their day-to-day life will be like, and if there's any errors or problems that will crop up during that kind of testing phase. Say you've got past training, you've kind of got past testing, you're ready to what I would call system ramp up. This is not going to be a one-day easy switch like a light switch. This may take some time. You'll probably have, if you have an old system and new system, you'll probably have to run both in parallel and decide how you're going to manage that. You can't just do 100% switch because probably the new system will fall flat on its face. So it may take a couple of months to go through that ramp up phase. And the output of that ramp up phase, either it works or you have to kind of revise things and go fix things. Say you pass the ramp up phase and the thing is fully in production. You've kind of put the old system to bed. Maybe it's on standby, but you're kind of totally focused on the new thing. That's great. You reached a level of success. Still, there's going to be work for ongoing support. Issues will crop up. Things will need to be fixed. And the last thing is one of the big values of that enterprise software is reporting. Management, everyone will start wanting to see nice reports coming out of the system to give a nice overview of the business. That's the end of this chapter. Thank you for your time. If you have any comments, questions, or interest in MaxScheduler, our scheduling software, please reach out to us through maxscheduler.com. Have a good day.